I made a really reckless decision a few years ago. It was like one of the biggest reckless decisions of my entire life, like life changing, reckless decision. And people who knew I was making that decision were like, "What are you doing? Like, hit pause, consider this." And I spent months making this decision. I hired a life coach to help me make the decision. And I talked to my closest friends, and then I made it. I quit. My reckless decision was I resigned from the best paying job of my life. To date, my life's not over yet. But up until that time, the best paying job of my life. And but it was crushing me. It was crushing me hard. I worked at a factory, a great union job. I worked with great people, but very demanding job. A lot of 13-hour shifts, a lot of 7-day weeks. And it was physical, working with heavy industrial equipment as a professional Oreo maker, a production mixer at a cookie factory. And an interesting job, but it was taking a really hard toll on me. And eventually I had to ask myself, how much is my vitality worth? And am I just going to sell it to the highest bidder? What's it worth? Is it worth 75 grand a year? 100 grand? $500,000? How much is my vitality worth? I got one life. What am I going to do here? And that job just crushed me. But you know what? It turned out to be like the best kind of crushing, because I needed to be crushed for what was really pulsing inside of me that was kind of buried under the clutter of just getting by. That crushing caused me to hit pause in myself and say, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do with this life? That it was a good crushing. Have you ever, with roses, if you take the petals and you crush them in your hand, what happens? The essence and fragrance of the rose is released from crushing it. You ever cook with lemongrass? Same thing. If you want to get that flavor of lemongrass, you have to crush it. You have to pound it. You have to put pressure and friction on it, and it'll bring out the essence, the fragrance, the flavor of the lemongrass. The property is not released until it gets some kind of pressure and friction. And I felt like that's what it took for me. I'm not saying that's what it takes for everybody, but apparently that's what it required in my life, that I had to experience some intense pressure, some crushing, to bring out the essence of who I am and what I am meant to do with this life. And that is, I am a full-time creative. I am a woman meant to live my life for the remainder of my days centered on creativity. I am an art maker. I am an art seller. I am an art instructor. My life is centered on creativity. I live in my art studio. I go to bed often with paint splattered on my body. I love what I do. I love what I do. And guess what? It fuels my vitality. It's not depleting my vitality. It's not crushing the joy of life out of me. And that's what that factory job was doing. Even though the paycheck was great, I loved that paycheck. Man, I tell you what, come Friday, I loved my paycheck at that job. And now I'm in a different kind of reality, a different kind of life that I'm designing for myself as a full-time creative. And I love it. It doesn't feel like work, no matter how many hours I put in, no matter how much there'll be pressure, some deadlines and getting stuff done. And sometimes, there's absolutely anxieties about, gotta get that income rolling in, all those things. But at the same time, it's fueling my life instead of crushing my life. Completely different, completely different. So I don't know why I needed to share that today. And I haven't even got dressed, but I need to, because guess what I get to do today in this new life that I'm doing? I'm not heading to a factory to clock in and make a bunch of cookies. Instead, I'm going to a friend's home. She's a friend and a patron, and I'm painting colorful, explosive flowers on the walls of her atrium. It's a commission job. That's what I get to do today. I get to go do that. And then tomorrow I get to teach at Vancouver Art Space. And then later this week, I'll be teaching at Clark Community College. I'm also, I have an open studio Coming up, my calendar. I have all these epic things on my calendar because of that reckless decision I made to walk away from what was at that time the best paying job of my life. My life's not over yet. And and also I'm about to do my first art show since COVID. I did a handful of art shows because I just started doing all this in 2019. That could seem like awful timing, but I don't believe in awful timing. I just believe we just live our lives and we go along and things happen. And it was right for me to leave my job in 2019. But I tell you what, I sold more art in 2020 than I did in 2019. And this year, I've sold more bigger pieces of art with bigger price tags than I have in the last 2 years put together. So I'm staying the course on this thing, man. I'm staying the course. I needed that crushing. And now I just feel vitalized by what I'm doing. And I'll be doing an art show in Thanksgiving weekend in Seaside, Oregon. I'm so excited. So anyway, I don't know why I need to share that today. I got to get dressed, get out the door here. But if you're being crushed by something, maybe that's the message here. If you're being crushed, pay attention to what in your essence is being brought out from that crushing. There can be, it's an opportunity. If something's crushing the fuck out of you, it's an opportunity to pay attention to what really matters to you, what's pulsing inside of you. That's what it took for me. I needed to get crushed to learn that I'm really meant to live the remainder of my days living my life centered on creativity. I am an art maker. I'm an art seller. I'm an art instructor. I am a creative provocateur. So there you have it. And that's what it took, a crushing. That's what it took. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad I got crushed. All right. Take care.